I want to say this. Austin Matthews, nominee for the Lady Byng, nominee for the Selke, and just announced nominee for the Ted Lindsay as well.
What? So that's very interesting. Nominated for the Ted Lindsay, not nominated for the Hart. So the Hart is MVP, but
that's most valuable player to their team.
Yes, But the Ted Lindsay, Jesse, maybe you should look up the exact wording, but it's basically best player as voted by the players.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
It was the Lester B. Pearson.
It was the Lester B. Pearson. Now it's the Ted Lindsay. So you can rename trophies.
Sure, you can. But it didn't make sense to have a Canadian prime minister from the 50s as the person on the trophy. That's why.
It was odd.
That's why we don't rename the other trophies. The other trophies you should remain the same.
Who is Hart?
I don't know.
Who is that?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah.
We can look at
I
that.
don't know
Memorial.
The
Hart
Ted
Memorial.
The Ted Lindsay, if you want the exact definition from the NHL, first awarded in 1970-71 as the Lester B. Pearson Award. The Ted Lindsay Award is presented annually to the most outstanding player as voted by fellow members of the NHLPA.
There you go.
The Hart Memorial Trophy is named in honor of Canadian Dr. David Hart. Dr. Hart, who donated the original trophy to the NHL, was the father of Cecil Hart, a former coach and general manager with the Canadiens. The trophy was first awarded in 23-24.
So he donated his heart as well.
Yes, he did.
So this is the 100th year.
Most
of the
valuable
Hart
for his body.
Yes.
Wait, this is the 100th year of the Hart Trophy?
23-24. Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Nobody has said that, I think.
No, that's wow. Steve Dangle breaking news.
Apparently,
damn, dude. Yeah.
Or would this be the 101st technically?
The
wow.
100th. First awarded was 24. Yeah.
So okay.
And so I understand why you don't change that because it's been 100 years of that.
Sure. Now, okay, this is important. Kucherov, McDavid, McKinnon. Those are the three Hart nominees. Who are the Ted Lindsay nominees if Austin Matthews is replacing one of them?
Kucherov and McKinnon.
So McDavid is
McDavid's nominated for the Hart. He's not nominated for the Ted Lindsay. Yes.
So the players are like, this guy's not one of the top three.
They voted Austin Matthews instead. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, like, listen, Matthews is one of the top three defensive forwards in the league based on the Selke, right? He's nominated for it. And he scored 69 goals. For him to not be nominated for the Hart is tough. Like, I understand it, but damn, that's a tough class.
Who overthought it? The writers or the players?
Players. How do you not have McDavid in there? He should be in there every year.
Over Matthews.
Well, they don't agree.
No, over Kucherov.
They don't agree all the time.
Bad. Okay.
Dude, I'm telling you,
You're an
McKinnon,
anti-Kucherov.
McDavid, Matthews. That's what I would go with.
Oh, what? That's bad.
For the Lindsay or for the Hart?
For both.
Why is that bad?
Because there's no reason that McDavid should be in there over Kucherov when they have identical stats, except Kucherov's are better.
I think it's better that McDavid came from nothing and caught Kucherov. I think that says something. I honestly, I really look at where Kucherov was. McDavid had what, a 25 point. He was down 25, 30 points.
He was very far
and he
back.
caught him.
Yeah.
Come on. Are we going to erase that?
He also didn't catch him because Kucherov won the Art
He caught him for a second, and then
Kucherov won the Art Ross trophy.
Yeah, his last game was against the Leafs.
He didn't catch him.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Doesn't count against the Leafs.
If you look at what Kucherov did as the solo point getter on Tampa Bay, it's the reason the trophy exists. So why would he be removed when might honestly win the thing over?
Oh, he'll probably
McKinnon?
will. He probably will.
So then why would you remove him from the top three?
Because it's the Ted Lindsay Award. It's not MVP to your team. It's the best players. And I'm talking about the best players.
I think he was the
best voted on by the players.
I think he was the best player.
I don't agree. I think McKinnon's a better player. I think McDavid's a better player. I think Matthews I think Matthews' accomplishments this year, had he hit 70 goals, let's be honest. If Matthews, and I'm going to be a Toronto homer for a second here, I fully admit this.
No,
if he
I know where you're
70,
going.
Is Matthews in one of the top three in the Hart?
He might be.
Because we're obsessed with round numbers in this sport.
Yep. In all sports.
My question, I don't understand why you're putting Matthews over Kucherov.
I personally, I think that in the Ted Lindsay conversation, we're talking about the best players. McKinnon, McDavid, and I'd say based on his season, Matthews. Yes, and I stand behind that. I'm not talking about MVP to their team, which is a weird designation.
Yeah.
Because in every other sport, it's just MVP, not MVP to their team.
Mm-hmm.
I get why Kucherov is going to win that award. He is the Tampa Bay Lightning. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
McKinnon, where are the Avalanche be without McKinnon? Not great. Not great.
Sure.
Not great, Bob.
Yeah.
The Oilers, I think, could survive. They're deep enough now that I think they'd survive a 20 game.
You don't think the 100 assists is more impressive than the 69 goals?
I don't.
Oh, okay.
I honestly don't. And I know it's been done less. I know.
Okay.
I know.
Because one is
far
more rare than the other.
I think goals are worth double
Wait.
this.
No, I think you're all missing the number one argument against Kucherov. Fuck him.
Yeah, but also fuck him. Fuck him. No,
because I don't think the conversation we're having is Kucherov over McDavid, because I think that should be the three. It's you're removing Kucherov to put in Matthews.
What about Kucherov was rude at the All-Star game?
Yeah. It's a good point.
Jesse,
he gave up.
It's a joke.
I guess
I don't think
he's upset about this.
He's
really upset.
I'm trying to find your reasoning.
It's pretty obvious, isn't it? He almost had 70 goals. He had 69 goals.
Yeah.
McDavid came back and squashed a 25-point lead midway through the season that Kucherov had. And then you've got Nathan McKinnon, who at some point is going to get his Revenant trophy. I don't think
right.
If I'll listen to the argument that you'd put Kucherov in over McKinnon, I'll listen to that. But I will not take this Austin Matthews slander. He's a Hart nominee if he gets 70. I know he didn't, but I think it's crap that he got 69.
No, we're not talking about the Hart Trophy. We're talking about the Ted Lindsay.
Okay, and the Ted Lindsay is the best player.
And he's nominated for the Ted Lindsay and McDavid's.
Yes, and isn't Sasha Barkov normally nominated for this too? Isn't this like the Sasha Barkov trophy where it's like all the players think he's super great and he's underrated? Isn't that the thing? Yes, am I right on that, Steve? Yeah, exactly. I'm telling you.
You would remove. So, what's your top three in the voting if you'd remove McKinnon? So McKinnon comes in.
I think
third.
McDavid's 1. I think McKinnon's 2. I think Matthews 3.
You just said you would remove McKinnon.
I'll listen to it
before Matthews.
We're talking about best players.
Yeah.
But I think you have to look at what the season was.
Well, Drew. He just quit.
Yeah.
He'll live. He'll live. He takes enough shots at the Leafs. I'm sure he can survive this.
Drew? When? Name one.
I think when we look back on this season, like if you went 5 years in the future and you look back on the season, you'd say the two most outstanding players of the season were McKinnon and Kucherov.
I think that's McDavid erasure. I really do. I think that's Matthews erasure. I think that's a joke. I think Matthews had one of the craziest goal scoring seasons we've had in 30 years. Mm-hmm. We have McDavid. Here's the thing. McDavid didn't win the Art Ross.
Mm-hmm.
But if Knobloch is the coach from game one and they're not losing 8-0 and trying a defensive scheme that doesn't work for the first 20 games, McDavid wins the Art Ross hands down all day.
But he didn't.
Yeah, but you know the answer to that. Over the course, his points per game after Knobloch takes over.
Unfortunately, we don't live in the world where hypotheticals.
That's still my reasoning. Kucherov has the best coach in the league. He has the best coach in the league. John Cooper, for my money, is the best coach in the league. They didn't have that
takes off like 30
instability.
They
didn't have the instability the Oilers did. Are we just going to ignore the facts?
That should remove votes from him. Because
okay, you're right. You know what? Let's not put McDavid in the Ted Lindsay. Are we out of our mind?
He's not currently.
That's what I'm like. This is crazy. He's the best player on planet Earth.
But that's not what who had the most outstanding season this year.
He caused their turnaround. The Oilers were never going to make the playoffs if they kept going. What would they have been? Where were the McDavid Oilers in November? When past the Thanksgiving line where, the American Thanksgiving line where it's like, if you're not in the playoffs, you got a low chance of making it. And all of a sudden they turn it around and they're challenging for the division. They're in the second round of the playoffs. What are we talking about?
I just wanted to tweet a sincere thanks to whoever decided to announce this mid-show.
Oh my God.
It wasn't announced mid-show.
It wasn't?
No.
When was it announced?
This morning.
This morning? Yeah.
It was?
Yeah.
Either way.
I'm supposed to get those emails. What the
Yeah, well, you did.
I don't know. I think when you look at the season as a whole, I think most hockey fans would agree and the players would agree that the two most outstanding seasons are McKinnon and Kucherov.
I think most hockey fans don't have a long memory.
And then you look back and then you say, okay, we can have the arguments about McDavid and Matthews, which I think is why they swap places on the Ted Lindsay and the Hart Trophy and why they're one's in one and one's not in the other. But there's two that are above the rung of the rest of the guys.
I think this is Nylander Marner erasure.
Oilers were 7-7-0 in November.
Mm-hmm.
In October, they were 2-5-1.
Don't you think we should save this for June, fellas?
You're right.
I'm sorry. All right.
I'm just saying.
Go ahead.
In December, they were 9-3-0. And now that directly correlates to their coach being changed. If they had a similar record at December, January, February, in November, October, this isn't even a question. McDavid is Hart Trophy winner, hands down.
It's funny how we don't exist in the world of hypotheticals, and you just have to look at the season as a whole.
How
and
do
say
you not look at a comeback and say that that's amazing?
You have to say who has the most outstanding season overall, and Kucherov's, the points he put up as the lone point getter on the Tampa Bay Lightning was more impressive than what McDavid did in the months that you're rating his new coach over when he got his previous coach. I don't understand.
Well, okay, here's what. Then let's throw this at you.
I don't understand how his slow start means that the rest of his season was more impressive.
Well, how about this? The Tampa Bay Lightning finished with 93 points. The Oilers finished with 99.
Mm-hmm.
The Oilers had a better year than Tampa, despite that shitty start.
Yes,
and I think that lends itself more to the fact that McDavid is able to do things that Kucherov cannot do.
It's an individual. It's about the individual performance. The one we're talking about, Ted Lindsay.
Do you guys still need me?
You can weigh in too.
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting here. You don't. You can talk. No. You don't have an opinion on the Hart Trophy or Ted Lindsay. I thought we were having a fun discussion about the hockey season that you also watched.
It's real fun.
I don't know.
It's real fun.
I don't know.
Just having a
you're
chat.
Not allowed to have.
Listen,
you
we're
can
allowed to
also weigh in, Steve. I don't know why you're.
What are you doing?
You guys are yelling too loud for me.
Listen, we're having a passionate discussion. It doesn't mean it's personal.
What are your thoughts?
Okay, my thoughts are.
Why don't you weigh in?
My thoughts are because I'm having too much fun listening.
Okay, what are your thoughts on the Ted Lindsay and Hart Trophy?
Yeah, take a fucking stance.
My thoughts are. It is goddamn. My thoughts are. It's insane to leave a Selke nominee who scored 69 goals off the Hart ballot.
Yes,
and yet. You ask me to take one of those three men off, and I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So you leave Austin Matthews off, and what about the Ted Lindsay?
The guy. Well, it's funny,
which is what we're really discussing.
Yeah, Steve, you can't do the thing where you just make the arguments for all four guys.
Yeah, no, you have to take a stand.
I didn't do that.
I'm asking you just to submit your voting. What is it?
I didn't do that. No, I am surprised Matthews was nominated for the Lindsay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it goes against the Hart voting, which I think is the correct voting. For as good as I think Matthews is, the guy.
So you would expect the Lindsay and the Hart to be the same, is what I'm saying.
Well, no, because I mean, if we're going by the three best, yes.
Okay.
The Lindsay and Hart often don't align. I'm trying to remember the most recent time a Hart winner did not also win the Lindsay.
Connor McDavid.
Was it Connor McDavid? Because off the top of my head, I remember Corey Perry won the Hart, and one of the Sedins got the Ted Lindsay.
No, 17-18, Taylor Hall won the Hart Trophy. Connor McDavid won Ted Lindsay.
And McDavid,
which is outrageous. Still outrageous.
Won it as someone who wasn't even nominated for the Hart, which I don't know if that's ever happened. That was truly wild and insane.
And the only reason he didn't win the Hart that year is because he didn't make the playoffs.
Dude, he wasn't nominated for that.
I know, it's outrageous.
He wasn't even
He's the best player by far in the NHL that year.
I like that there's a little bit of difference between the Hart and the Lindsay.
I think that's the point. It should be.
Mm-hmm.
I would say so. I think they got the list right with Kucherov, McDavid, McKinnon. If I were to take a player off of that, it feels so stupid to say Kucherov, and yet that's probably the guy I go with because of now. This is the other thing that I'm worried about saying because I don't know how this aligns. But did Kucherov not have the most power play points out of all those players?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Like, I know the Lightning were Kucherov merchants. I wonder if he was if he put up a lot of his numbers on the power play.
Takes away from what he did during the season if you
they don't count, Jesse.
So Jesse, this is interesting. Jesse, this is interesting because
you can't score points on the power play.
By the way, the power play point leaders in the NHL were as follows: Kucherov 53, McKinnon 48,
okay,
Panarin 44, McDavid 44.
Yeah,
right,
I don't. Why would you even go there?
So
it's less impressive when somebody scores on
Take
the
them
power
both
play.
off. Fuck them.
So here's the thing: it's harder to score at 5-on-5, but you could reverse that and be like, yeah, well, it's easier to score on the power play, and Matthews did that less. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He failed to do the easier thing, and as we saw in the playoffs, it's actually pretty helpful when you score on the power play.
I think that's a skill that Kucherov's allowed to have, and
Sure.
it lends to his game.
Yeah. So the season Austin Matthews had was completely dominant. My 3 would still be the 3 that they
For the Lindsay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And it's not even like Adam has Kucherov 2 or 3. You got him 4.
Yep.
And what's your official voting for Ted Lindsay?
I would say, you know what? Just for fun, McKinnon. Has he won the Lindsay before? I know he's never won the Hart.
I don't know.
No,
and
he
it
has
feels
no,
wrong.
He has no Lindsay.
He's no Lindsay. So let's say
No.
McKinnon. Because again, Revenant McKinnon. Okay. Let's say he wins the Hart and the Lindsay this year.
Mhm.
All right.
Which would be
Second-
I get that.
Second, McDavid. Third, Matthews. Fourth, Kucherov.
Who's 5th?
That's a good question.
It's a ballot. You got to submit 5.
That's a really good question.
Panarin.
Do you put? Well, it should be Panarin. But do you put in like a? Do you put in like a? Hey, you did real great for being the age that you are to Sidney Crosby and carrying that team.
I think Hellebuck can be in that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Quinn Hughes?
Man, he's good.
No, Quinn Hughes. I think he's a little off of the Hart Trophy.
He's garbage in front of the
Top
net. No
10.
kidding. Totally kidding.
Probably top 10.
Yes.
Yes.
We don't want to erase Leon Draisaitl from this list. I'll give you the top 10 in scoring. How's that? Kucherov, McKinnon, McDavid, Panarin, Pasternak, Matthews, Draisaitl, Rantanen, who often gets forgotten, JT Miller, and William Nylander. And that's not everything. Obviously, there's defense
Yes.
that matters in all of this. There's goaltenders that can be a part of this.
I remember we had this conversation before the season ended. And the 5 were the 3 dudes who scored 1 billion points in Kucherov, McKinnon, McDavid, then Matthews and Crosby. Like, I don't care what order you put your Hart ballot in, but I remember the conversation being it has to be one of those 5.
So then what's interesting about this is a guy who is one of the most gentlemanly players in the league, doesn't get penalized a lot, is the Lady Bing. He's also nominated as best defensive forward in the league, but also leads the league in goal scored, not nominated for most valuable to his team.
It's hard to do.
Who's that?
Matthews.
Oh.
No, it's really hard to do. And he had 20 penalty minutes. And part of that
And he
is
won't win
because
the Lady Bing with 20 penalty minutes.
half of those penalty minutes came from a game misconduct that he got while he was cleaning up equipment.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he should
And I
have
think the
10.
voters recognize that.
Yeah. No,
You know,
they
like,
obviously
if you know that, they know that. We got some.
Also, I have to
Probably
wonder,
on that.
the Lindsay's voted on by the players, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know who nominates them, but
NHLPA, yeah.
Do you, as a player, I know
No,
the
you can
Hart,
vote on everybody.
I know the Hart is prestigious. It's 100 years of the Hart.
Mhm.
Do you as a player feel a better sense of satisfaction knowing that your fellow players voted you versus whoever votes on the Hart, which
Yeah, but-
is writers?
Do you have a contract bonus for if you win the Hart?
Yeah, a lot of them do, actually.
Well,
Yeah.
there's your answer.
yeah.
Steven, you said you don't
Okay.
know who nominates them. The nominations are just from the voting.
Yeah, it's
Like these
the
are
top
the
voting.
top 3.
Oh,
Yeah, that's how you get the nominees. So they all voted on it, and these are the top 3.
interesting.
Yeah.
Hmm.